Hi everyone, this is Rihanna from A Frugal Life, and today we're going to be talking about healthy ways you can eat on a budget. So if you haven't come over from there, you may not know that we have a Frugal Living Facebook group. Currently we're up to over 58,000 active members, and you can join that group by clicking the link down below. The reason I bring it up is because one of the things that many Frugal Living people bring up when they're new to the group and new to Frugal Living altogether is that healthy eating is too hard. So many times I hear that healthy eating costs way more than eating junk food, and it's just not true. I can tell you hundreds of ways to eat healthy. I can give you many recipes, but today we're going to focus on a few practical tips to get you started on eating healthy. If you like this video and want to see more healthy eating videos, including recipes, be sure and subscribe and comment down below if you do want me to make videos on specifically recipes and more tips on healthy eating. So the first tip, of course, is one that you hear in every video, but I'm going to start out with it, is eat at home. I know if you're a working parent or if you have two working adults in the household, it feels like too much work to cook at home. But I'm going to give you a few tips that are actually going to make it easier and sometimes even faster to just cook at home. It's almost always healthier to eat at home, and even if you're not eating fast food when you're eating out, you're spending a lot of money, you don't always know what the ingredients are, and you don't know what the cook preparation method is. If you eat at home, you can concentrate on methods that are healthier and ingredients that are much healthier for you. One of the tips I'm going to give you today is to meal prep. And I'm not talking about meal prepping a bunch of little meals in containers. I'm talking about meal prepping ingredients. If you meal prep tons of ingredients ahead of time and keep them in the fridge ready to go, you will feel so much better just throwing together a 30-minute dish or even a 20 or 10-minute dish. A lot of the time cooking, when you're cooking dinner, is taken up by just prepping ingredients. If you have all the ingredients prepped ahead of time, you don't have to worry about it. One of the things I prep, of course, is vegetables. Many people will tell you to prep your vegetables as soon as you get them home. I actually will give you a little option there. You don't have to prep them as soon as you get them home. Just prep them on the weekend before you're ready to make all those weeknight meals. So usually I do all my shopping on Saturday and my ingredient meal prep on Sunday. That way I don't feel overtired and stressed about doing it. So I'll prep things like carrots and zucchini and cucumbers and different things in containers and put them in the fridge for meals, but I also prep things that are not vegetables. You can prep a big container of pasta and use it later on in the week for things like casseroles, pasta salads, soups, all sorts of things. If you don't have to spend that 10 to 15 minutes boiling your pasta, it feels like a little bit of time, but actually is a huge savings. I also prep things like beans ahead of time and even meat. I'll buy a big 5-pound chub of meat, cook it all up into ground meat with some onions and peppers, and put it in 1-pound containers. So later on I can use it as ingredients in lunches and dinners without ever having to pull out a pan and cook it. I can just throw it into the meal already cooked. So number 3, and I've said this in one of my other grocery saving videos, you can click on a link to that video up above, but it is to shop the outer aisles of the store. The middle aisles are the ones that have all the junk food, the processed food, the things like boxed rices, which are hugely expensive by the ounce. The middle aisles will get you with processed food and high prices. Shop all of the outer aisles first before you venture into those middle aisles. So I'm talking shop the deli aisles, the bread aisles, the fruits and veggies, the meat. Everything you can get on the outer edges of the store is going to be less processed and less expensive. And don't worry about the fact that you have to prep some of it. Remember, you're going to meal prep ahead of time, so it's okay to buy a lot of unprocessed food, uncooked rice, uncooked pasta, things that you don't have to just throw in the microwave because you're going to prep them ahead of time. Next is an easy one, but people forget it all the time. Shop in season. Give up those out of season vegetables even if you love them, and go for in season things. You can find lists online for your area. I would tell you here, but everybody's in a different country and city and state here on the internet. So go online and look for seasonal produce in your area. There will be a calendar that'll tell you what month is good for what produce, and believe me, it is so much cheaper. In the area I'm in, strawberries can be up to $7 a pound when they're out of season, and as low as $1.99 to 99 cents a pound when they're in season. So we only eat strawberries when they're in season. And of course you can actually freeze things that are in season and prepare them for later on down the road if you really want to have them when they're out of season. But you can get in season vegetables so cheap, and it is so much cheaper than junk food, so don't worry about buying all those junk food things. You're going to buy in season fruits and veggies, and they're going to be great snacks and great meal ingredients and very cheap. So next we're going to talk about meal planning. Do not click off this video. I know you're getting scared and worried because meal planning seems like a lot of work. And it is a lot of work if you meal plan the way that some of those vloggers tell you to do. You do not have to be so structured in your meal plan. I do not meal plan in the way that I decide on Tuesday we're going to have spaghetti and Wednesday we're going to have tacos. I meal plan in the way that I need 21 meals for the week and I need them for specific people because we have different dietary needs. It doesn't matter whether I'm picking a breakfast meal or a lunch meal. I just decide on 21 meals I'm going to make for each person and their dietary needs and shop according to those meals. And of course, meal plan according to what's in season. But all I have to do is decide I'm going to have spaghetti, tacos, and meatloaf during the week. I don't have to hold it to a specific day. And that relieves all the stress of having to worry about if you get home late on Wednesday, you may not want to cook the meatloaf. It doesn't matter. Grab something else off that meal plan. You already have the ingredients prepped. You can just go ahead and throw it together. But meal plan is going to make shopping less stressful, and it is actually going to make cooking less stressful because even though you didn't decide what you're going to eat that specific day, you have a list of meals that you can choose from, so you don't have to think about it when you're tired and stressed out. So let's talk about name brands. Yes, there are certain people that are specifically attached to specific brands. For instance, I like a certain brand of peanut butter, but there are things that I don't mind shopping around for different brands, like laundry soap. It doesn't matter to me what laundry soap I buy as long as it's cheap. So let's go back to food here. You're looking for cheap, healthy ingredients. And once you get to the brand things in the middle of the aisles, you're going to want to look up and look low. So the middle of the aisle is where they put the high dollar, high brand things that they want just to grab your eye and for you to grab and purchase. The top and the bottom is where we're going to put the generic things and the more inexpensive things and even the things on sale. So look to the top, look to the bottom, and be willing to shop around. So be willing to not be brand specific. You can get really healthy, really great, even organic ingredients if you're willing to shop the sales and not be brand specific about what you buy. Next, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is to eat meat free. I, of course, am not a vegetarian and or vegan. I have never claimed to be, but I do eat less meat than most people do who are meat eaters. So I typically eat meat 3 to 4 times or even less a week because I just enjoy meat-free meals. My husband likes to have some meat at every meal, and my aunt who lives with us also eats meat at most meals. But we do save a ton of money because I specifically am willing to eat meat-free on a lot of my meals. So meat is just incredibly expensive, especially nowadays, and you can get all of your protein that is needed in less expensive ways, like beans, legume, and even high pigmented greens like spinach and kale. So if you're willing to throw those things into your meals instead of meat at least a few times a week, you're going to save a ton of money and eat healthier. So next, let's talk about substitutions. So if you were working off a recipe, whether it's your grandmother's recipe, a recipe you found online, or a recipe you found in a thrift store cookbook, you do not have to stick to the specific recipe. So I substitute all the time, at least 99% of the time, in recipes that I cook. I use things that I have already on hand in the pantry, the freezer, or the refrigerator, or when I'm shopping, I choose things that are least expensive. So if I'm making a pork dish and chicken is way less expensive that week, I'll make the same dish, but I'll make it with chicken. Also, if you're making red meats, you can definitely substitute things like pork and chicken and use the same sauces, pastas, and other things. So always go for the less expensive meat, especially because things like boneless, skinless chicken breasts and turkey are better for your heart anyways than the high dollar expensive red meat. My next tip is about vegetables. Do not be afraid to buy frozen or canned vegetables if you're trying to eat healthier. If you're substituting in frozen or canned vegetables instead of things like French fries and a McDonald's McDouble, it is just as good as if you're substituting in fresh produce. So I know we all love fresh produce, but sometimes we can't afford it. And you can get frozen vegetables and canned vegetables on clearance or on sale for a very inexpensive cost per unit. So it's totally okay to buy frozen vegetables. And actually most brands, frozen vegetables have just as many nutrients as the fresh vegetables do because they pick them at the height of their season when they are totally ripe. They flash freeze them, then they freeze them and throw them off to the distributors. So by the time you get them, all those nutrients are frozen right in. So it is okay totally to buy frozen and canned vegetables if you're trying to get healthy on a budget. Last but not least, and this is my favorite tip, I use it all the time, is to shop grocery clearance. So I shop grocery outlet. If you know me, you know that I shop grocery outlet every time I go into town, and I purchase things that are on clearance. So sometimes I get cheese for like 10 cents an ounce because I'm purchasing on clearance at grocery outlet. But don't overlook, if you don't have one of those stores, the grocery outlet clearance section of your regular grocery store, like Safeway, Albertsons, or Raley's. most of these stores have a clearance section, and sometimes you have to look for it or ask for it. So in my grocery store, the clearance section is way back in the back in the corner, tucked behind the bathrooms. You would never see it if you didn't know to look there, but there's tons of food that is not expired, that is really good, that is just discounted 50 or 75% because the packages are damaged. So I purchased tons of canned goods there. I purchased day-old breads, cakes, and pastries there and freeze them. I purchased all sorts of things in the clearance aisle, and a lot of the times I get really great organic vegetables in the can, whole wheat pastas, and other things that just have damaged packages. And actually, it sounds crazy, but the healthier foods usually last longer in the clearance section and are easier to pick up because people like to pick up the clearance cookies before they pick up the clearance organic pasta. That's it for today. If you'd like to see more videos on healthy eating on a frugal budget or other frugal living videos, please click subscribe down below. I will talk to you soon, and please go ahead and comment if you have any other ideas that I didn't mention here.